There's a few things that I want to do before I move on out towards probably the Scarlet Chorus camp I'm going to go to next. So let's get a move on with that then. So my reputation went up then with the disfavored, for example, so I should be able to pass certain reputation checks now within a camp. I think there's a tiny bit more conversation with the Iron Marshal I can do. The edict draws near, preparations are almost complete, but we aren't moving fast enough. Hey, she looks past you, yelling at a soldier far afield. I said round up those javelins, not a suggestion. She folds her arms, looking at you expectantly. What's your role in the disfavored? I am the commander of the Iron Guard, swordmaster of the disfavored, and captain of the 3rd Boreal Company. Her voice booms loudly as her titles roll off her tongue. Commander of the Iron Guard. Doesn't that make you second in command next to Ash? That I am, she folds her arms. But I view it a very, very distant second, and I have no plans to outlive the immortal Graven Ash. So, while by tradition I am executor, or, I suppose, executrix of the Legion, I hope never to act on that sacred duty. Make no mistake, Graven Ash is the mind of the disfavored. I am but his right hand, a student to his military genius. Where have you seen battle? Let's see. Gates of Judgment, Bastard City, quick jaunt through parts of Haven, then on to Stalwart. She looks up at you with a shrug, and finally here, Vengeance Well. Quite a tour it's been. Back to my previous questions, what can you tell me about Ascension Hall? Kairos' edict is directing us to take Ascension Hall. That's what the locals call the inner sanctum of the citadel. Built at the base of the mountain spire, she points east towards the narrow vertical line of stone that rises above all other points in the horizon. It's also the base camp for the Vanguard Guard, so taking Ascension Hall has always been one of our objectives in putting down this insurrection. But now we have a life or death reason to make that citadel our one and only focus. Who's the strongest warrior in your cohorts? Modesty demands I admit myself, but if I had to form the Legion into one giant phalanx, I'd have Servius the Younger and Barrack take the corners. Servius has been at this since before I was born, and Barrack, well, she hesitates. Well, what? I'm neither deaf nor fragile. Say what you were going to say. I was going to say that you're perhaps one of the best warriors in the outfit, but good luck getting you to wear your regulation uniform. You're a good soldier, Barrack, but you know you're a pain in my ass. I am honored to be assigned one of your finest, and oops, I clicked that a bit too soon. You can actually scroll back though, can't you? Yeah. So the honor is mine. When the campaign is over, I hope you'll accompany me in handing more avenging savages along the road. Think of the stories we'll have to trade. And I think that's it. Okay. Let's go and have a word with Servius.
Yes.
Servius. Because they had reputation checks that I failed to meet earlier. Welcome back, Fatebinder. And here we go, Favor. It should have been over real quick and simple. The first cohort arrived in the valley and went right for the kill, but that was before we knew the Vanguard Guard had sages and that water witch on their side. Bigger problem is the Scarlet Chorus. They eagerly conscript the Vanguard Guard, but I have no proof of this. But it seems they do very little to keep a watchful eye on these drafted peersmen. They often sent out on patrol, and we suspect they use the opportunity to escape out of the Vanguard Guard. Every Chorus conscript has a choice: life under Kairos or death under the army's boots. By all means, feel free to cut down those that choose the latter. We won't be offended. Just so we don't mistake each other, I know what I'm saying carries an implication of treachery. I'm not making a formal accusation before Tunon's agent. I'm just voicing my gut opinion on the matter. Tell me about... Well, I'll do that one. Has that got favour? No, it hasn't. Let's ask him to tell him about himself. Favour 1. Not much to tell. My father was Servius the Elder. His father was Servius the First of his name, lead drill master of Ash's first Iron Guard. Back when they were the Bronze Guard, I was born into the Legion, and with any hope I'll die in the Legion. The rest you will hopefully hear about when the storytellers immortalize me. There's a lore option, and it even mentions, there's a bit of green text as well, mentioning what happened before Gravenash bent the knee. Let's pick that up then. He was in a Bronze Guard, so your family must have been with Ash since before he was with Kairos. Gain minor favour. Aye, you know your history. Servius nods with gusto. The blood goes back that far, not the memories, as I only ever knew my father. My grandfather was just a legend. One of Ash's best warriors back before the disfavored were forged or reforged in iron. He shrugs. I'm proud of my heritage, but I try not to brag. There are folks who love the Legion every bit as much as I do, but they lack the same pedigree. Speaking of heritage, how is your family looking these days, Barak? Are they still the pride of the North, or have they debased themselves in some unspeakable manner? Verse, and Barak going out again. Speak not of my family, verse, or of our honour. You have no right. She chuckles. Don't I? Very well. Go about your ignorant way, you dumb ironclads. I'll say no more. I think well, when I get to speak to him a bit later on, we'll find out more about what's going on there. Even though I've asked about or mentioned the Bronze Guard, that's still an option. I'll go with that one first though. You should be proud of your pedigree. Thanks, but I try not to think about it too fondly. If anything, every time I screw something up, I wish I wasn't dragging the family name through the mud along with me. And the Bronze Guard, it mentions, well, his day and age was a century ago. They didn't have Kairos' modern luxuries like iron. So back then, the great general's inner council was known as the Bronze Guard. Back to my other questions, and that's done. There's, I think, some reputation.
Will do.
A couple other people in camp, and then I'm going to do some trade, and I don't think there's any with bitter quip. You seem handy with a weapon, Lucia. And there's some, favour here. Aye, and if you ever want some pointers on how to use that weapon of yours, just let me know. She winks. Lucia, are you flirting with Tunon's fate binder? Relax, Marcus. There are plenty of camp slaves if ever I need to scratch an itch. Although, through the visors of her helm, you notice Lucia's eyes roving up and down your body. If ever you need someone to warm your bedroll, let me know. I'll sleep in my armor. Hope you don't mind. So do I, but you don't hear me bragging about it, says Barak. And we'll ask Marcus about something. And there's another favour option. Every battle is a reminder of the Legion's superiority. The Oathbreakers have plenty of heart, but nothing to beat our northern values. Grave and Ashes love. If you ever want to enjoy that feeling, I can spare you the time of day to cross iron. And I don't know if there's any more. There's another reputation option we actually lack there. Not sure if that one's supposed to be used or not. I might do some training with these shortly. What I'm going to do now is basically, well, I think we had a mark given to us, didn't we, by Arenos. So let's cash that in with Pentabor. What might I do for you? See something you like. The Iron Marshal said I can avail myself of some iron armaments. Oh, did she? Guessing she didn't use the plural of the word armament. Pentabor grabs the token. nodding at its authenticity. Kairos smiles on you today, as I have a score of names on my list of soldiers waiting to swap out their rusted gear. I don't have a lot to spare. I can get you a sword, a helmet, and... Pentabor's eyes trace you head to toe, then back again. Yeah, I think a corselet that might just fit you. Or it is a corselet. So, out of those options, I'm gonna go for the armor, I think. Some heavy armor with my player character, assuming that's what it is, would be a pretty nice idea. And probably should be the most valuable thing out of those options as well, if we don't end up using it long term. Party has received Iron Walker armor. Sure, just don't blame me if some Stone Shield wonders why you're wearing the armor he's been waiting for 3 span to receive. Searching through his supplies, Pentabor finds a breastplate in your size and recuts the straps to fit your dimensions. Keep it oiled regularly and it will serve you well. Right, so is there anything to buy off him? I think I might have bought a spell earlier on off him. I may want to probably have enough potions, but who knows, I may want to pick up some more. Let's take a look in the inventory, and also I should probably have a look at the journal as well. Something was updated there at some point after speaking with Renyos. So here we go. We've got Iron Walker armor, and this is heavy armor, unlike that. I think what I'm going to do is put that on first, because it's actually light armor, and it even gives a decent amount of armor, which many light armors don't, and it gives deflection on top as well. Recovery's arguably not too bad. The recovery on that is pretty awful, actually. So that's going to slow down my player character if I were to use that, which is a concern maybe, because I do want them to be relatively fast, but I might use it. Later on, when I pick talents, there's actually a really amazing one. It's not that. Where is it? That one here. For quite a while, when you use that, you can remove armor and shields recovery penalties, and it'll be a lot less than 1 minute as well, the cooldown, because we get about a third off it. So about half the time I shouldn't have any armor or shield penalties when using that, which will mean I can attack a lot more frequently and use abilities a lot more frequently with my quickness trait. Right, yeah, for now I think I'm going to reorganize my inventory and pay a visit to, well, there's Pentabor to trade with, the guy over there and the guy outside the camp, and then we'll make a move towards Scarlet Chorus camp. Okay, I've had a word with various merchants found around the camp. There were some items that I would have quite liked to pick up, especially from my Satanis. He has a lot of equipment, his favourite equipment for armour and things like that, but I can't really afford them at this stage. The guy there didn't really have anything else that I wanted. Sterling Hagnon does actually have something I want, but well, if we take a look in here, this scroll, it's actually very expensive. It's more than I've got already. I could sell some stuff, but I can't really make use out of this until I've got lore of 60 anyways. It's not an awful good reason to pick it up at this point. I will be coming back to the camp later on, more than likely, definitely. So I'll pick it up then. Right, before we actually leave the camp, I should probably level up Barrick as well. He is on level 2 and he can be leveled up, so I'm going to do that now. Now if we take a look within the talents at Barrick specifically, you can basically go roughly 2 directions with Barrick. You can turn him into an out and out tank or rock, completely and utterly hard to kill, but not doing an awful lot of damage to opponents, which I have tried it before when I first completed the first act. I didn't really think it was worthwhile doing though. The other direction you can go in is still make him, he's very survivable, because actually if we take a look in the inventory, I've reorganized things a bit here, you can't take his armor off him, so he gets a huge amount of armor to start, And his stats, if we look in here, he has a lot of vitality, a lot of resolve, so he's very durable already. What you can do then, instead of just making him into an out and out, almost unkillable entity, you can try to make him actually dish out a certain amount of damage as well. So you come more into the Punisher tree. And I may actually want to focus on two-handed weapons with him, which I wasn't intended to do at the start of the Let's Play, but I think I will do now. So I'm going to have to pick up a two-handed weapon. Yeah, I think that's the direction I'm going to go in. But the opening trait I'm going to pick up is Clash of Iron. This has a taunting ability, which basically mocks people into attacking Barak. And they will try and disengage whomever they are attacking to go after him, which, considering he's quite survivable, is probably a pretty good idea. So yeah, that's going to be my initial pick. There are, well, the player character can probably be a better tank than Garrick though, although he does have a lot of survivable traits within here, like extra shield bonuses. They're not as good as the player character can potentially get. For instance, Shield Mastery 2 with the player character is 80%, and also the player character can have a taunting stance as well, if I can find it. Challenger there, which is arguably better than Barak's, but I'm not going down that route with my player character, so I could have maybe done that with Barak, but yeah, I'm probably gonna come after some more of the damaging things within the Punisher tree, within his talents at some point. They're probably going to go half and half. With a lot of the characters though, the end talents are very powerful. Not always though, to be honest. Some of them are good, some of them aren't. So that can be a reason just to focus on one tree, but with Barak I think I'm going to be splitting it. Right, so that's almost him level up. I will be going for vitality as well, to keep him alive. I think that's the key thing, and maybe I'll switch back to might later on. Just save that. Also, right, we are now ready to make a move. So let's click on here. So I want to go to the Scarlet Chorus camp. There's lots of things to do there, but I do actually have enough money at this stage to pick up a scroll that I wasn't able to earlier from Edgar in Ruins, and since I'm very near to it, I might as well pay it a visit now, I think. I do have limited time. I only have 8 days before this edict actually occurs. Ambush. Your path is blocked by a small group of Vendrian guards. You can go no farther until you deal with them. Okay. Yeah, I do have a limited amount of time, but I think it was worthwhile, assuming I survived this ambush.
That's far enough, Fatebinder.
A woman's voice booms from atop a nearby outcropping. Flashes of aquamarine body paint peek out from under her loose-fitting traveller's garb, and her outfit is festooned in braids and knots of sailor's line. Flanked on either side by warriors dressed in Vendrian Guard regalia, the woman leans on an elaborate bladed staff, pulsing with arcane energy. A swath of blue fabric rests draped over her arm. The blue flag is a symbol of diplomacy and truce, recognized across most of the known world, and it is a custom of the Tearsmen. Hold dear. To harm another person under the auspices of a blue flag is a grave offense. In both the Tears and in Kairos' empire, customary punishment is death.
Did the voices of Nurat send you to gather my head and complete his collection? If so, we'll have to save our tussle for another time. Today I have business. Vengeance can wait.
So this is a consequence of choices I made within Conquest. And I think the Archon actually mentioned it earlier on. Her School of Tides, I handed them over to the Archon, and she's not happy about that because she is a member of the School of Tides, or was.
You may have consigned my school to a fate worse than death, but you've done well by the Vendrian Guard. Many of them are alive today thanks to the truce you forged years back. They seem to think you have a trace of nobility in you. Here's hoping they're right.
Hope not. Law Conquest Decision. Yeah, that's Conquest Mention. So we've gained loyalty and fear. And you may have gathered the fact that there's loyalty and fear, and with a person, she is a potential companion.
In accordance with ancient customs north and south, I offer and request a delay of blade. There are matters we must discuss without fear of reprisal.
Okay, so that's the blue flag. Woman bows deeply, lowering her head in practiced display of etiquette. The warriors by her remain in a steady, ready stance, their nerves clearly on edge. Okay. I think I'm gonna select you have me at a disadvantage.
I am Ebb of the School of Tides, and today I speak on behalf of the Vendrian Guard.
I advise caution, Fatebinder. Only thing more dangerous than a tearsman is an educated one.
Metal articulations groan as he tries to subtly move his hand toward his blade. Now there is actually an attack option here, and it doesn't mention going against the blue flag, but that one does, doesn't it? I think, well, we're going after the loyalty still, aren't we? Let's go for the blue flag option. I expect you will honor it. Barrack gain average loyalty.
As is our custom, we are ready to kill to defend our lands, but we kill only in fair battle. We don't slay our prisoners. We know this isn't Kairos's way, but we must have hope. A few of my kin have gone missing, and though they may have perished, I have to inquire on the off chance they still live. If Captain Tarkus Deimos still lives, we would negotiate for his release.
So Tarkus Deimos is the guy who I fought within the ruins, and I handed him over to the chorus. So I could lie about it. I could say I let him go. That name means nothing to me. Assuming he's a prisoner, what would you offer in exchange?
We would offer you 5 choirmen that got lost on patrol. They're healthy. Got other limbs, too.
I would not have us barter with oathbreakers. Certainly not for anything less than disfavored lives.
You say there's something worth less than a disfavored life. Call me intrigued.
I think versus armor is slightly changed as well, because I gave it something different to wear. I am going to tell the truth, I think. So I'm going to gain average fear with Ebb.
Then if we see him again, it will have to be as enemies.
And I actually gained reputation with her. You have gained enough reputation to unlock a new ability. Open a reputation UI by pressing R to see the new ability available to your character. Okay. She looks to the warriors to either side of her, shaking her head.
If I may make one more inquiry. What of Palox Tyrell? Did he survive?
And he was the guy who was trying to kill Drastus, I think. Palox Tyrell is dead. She nods slowly, saying nothing for a long moment.
My apologies, Fatebinder. I had a terrible feeling this errand was in vain from the start. I had no expectations that our friends could be saved, as I'm sure the time for swapping prisoners is long gone. But at least I know of what became of them. That'll have to be enough.
Okay, we could still attack her, but yeah, actually it mentions here Tunon gain very major wrath, so this is breaking the blue flag, and that would not go down well with the guy who sent us here, so I'm not going to do that. I'm interested to find out what would happen with it though. We're through, leave while you can. I have some questions for you. I'm going to do that one. I'm not sure if I'm going to be able to if I pick that one afterwards, so...
We shouldn't be socializing with Oathbreakers.
I will entertain them as best I can. After all, understanding is the only hope we have. What is it you wish to know?
Why'd you resist Kairos? What are you trying to say?
I grew up without my knee bent to Kairos, and if I'm going to bow to someone, let it be another Tearsman. We've ruled ourselves just fine for centuries, so we'll give our lives so that our sons and daughters might rule themselves.
The younger realms were beset with constant battle. You'd prefer that to Kairos' order?
You make conflict sound like a bad thing. Yes, the younger realms saw frequent battles, but it was never this wholesale slaughter like we've seen of late. No Tearsman ever cast an edict on the soil, or forced prisoners to kill each other, or butchered beastmen tribes.
Only your daughters are really free in the Tears. Why fight against Kairos' equality?
There's freedom, then there's trusting idiots with power. Give a man 1,000,000 marauders, he'll lose sleep worrying over his neighbor's 1,000. I prefer my realms ruled by the braver sex. For centuries we've left the lands to the women, and the seas to the men. And we did plenty fine until Kairos came around.
Mention a bit about this right at the start of character creation. An agenda bit. What makes you think you have a chance?
Oh, we don't. Those who believed Kairos could be stopped all died years ago, in the first wave of fighting. It's not about the hope of victory. It's about the hope of inspiring others. It is very likely we will fall here in Vendrian's Well. But perhaps others will arise elsewhere.
But a mage like you would not be the subject of such superstition and fear under Kairos' reign.
I doubt life is any better sworn to some mad Archon. I'd rather stand with my fellow Tearsmen. Or, I suppose, stand immediately behind them in the event of an attack.
At that remark, the soldiers flanking her exchange shocked looks. Eve turns her focus to her compatriots.
Yeah, you heard me. Way things were years back, you'd all be calling me a water witch and conspiring to sell me out to the nearest sage. Just because I'm helping you stop Kairos doesn't mean I've forgotten the hospitality of ages past.
And people wonder why the Tearsmen could never unite in time to fight back. It's refreshing to see that some things never change.
Let me ask you something else. How did you and your friends overthrow the garrison?
I would joke that the voices of Nerat left the gate unlatched, but dozens of warriors lost their lives taking the citadel. There was no secret to it. We simply attacked with speed and certainty at a time when the Archons were elsewhere in the Tears. The Scarlet Chorus had a rout, and what few disfavored soldiers were present made an impressive showing. But they were surrounded and overwhelmed once the chorus fled.
Who's in charge of this insurrection?
Listen to you. Thinking just like the Overlord wants you to think. There always has to be a person in charge, or things don't make sense. Well, we don't answer to anyone. We are each of us sons and daughters of the Tears, and take this task upon ourselves freely. But Captain Tarkus Ari, former Falksman of Queen Vendrian Alanta, is the voice we trust when we seek unanimity.
I assume Tarkus Ari and Tarkus Deimos are relations.
Yes. Deimos was Ari's brother. We were certain he was dead, but the captain takes family seriously. So I volunteered to find some answers. And now here we are.
Were there prisoner swaps in the past?
That is our way, Binder. Here in the south, only thugs and bandits kill prisoners. The younger realms may be guilty of constant fighting, but we never slay each other when the battle's long over. We're not about to change that now. As a rule, Kairos' forces haven't been keen on swapping prisoners. But I know our disfavored prisoners aren't prisoners anymore. I just assumed they were swapped for some of our own.
That's all.
Fair enough. But now a question for you. The Edict. I can feel its magic coursing through the air. Everyone can. But those of us enlightened to the currents of magic feel it most. The wording of the Edict. What was it?
Okay, so I could potentially reveal some secrets here. Such details are for Kairos' warriors only. Kairos' forces must take Ascension Hall, but if their swords or all in the valley will perish. Barak gain average fear. Barak lose very minor loyalty. Clear silently. Light, curse in the valley, those disloyal to Kairos will slowly weaken and die. We're done here. Now, a lot of my actions have actually been to get the Vendrian Guard on side, which you may have realized up until this point. A lot of my things I did within Conquest. I did select the thing with mages for her school, which annoyed her, but she's not directly, well, she kind of is directly linked to the Vendrian Guard, arguably, but not totally, as you sort of scored there. So I'm not sure if that will affect things. If we tell them, well, it's going to affect Barak, but it's in their interest then to lose, isn't it? Because they're going to die otherwise. So perhaps they'll surrender, who knows? I doubt it, but you never know. It's a possibility. So, yeah, I'm going to let them know.
In the name of the vaunted North, the will of Kairos should be delivered with blade and hammer, not to the ears of oathbreakers and compromisers.
And he didn't like that, but it's not the end of the world.
Curious. You did say all in the valley. So the edict will affect Kairos' forces? This is most unexpected.
They could be happy with that, to be honest. Everyone outside the valley would survive, wouldn't they? So I hadn't really thought about that. So they could be willing to fight and die, knowing that everyone else would survive. But yeah, I've mentioned it now, so correct.
That is most troubling. So either the soldiers come to destroy and kill us, or the edict does the work. I suppose we should be so honored the Overlord is taking no chances on us. I've another question for you, if you will entertain it.
Are we really standing here and chatting with Oathbreakers? It's hard to watch, like cuddling a goat you're going to kill for dinner.
I want to hear the question.
When I was young, my parents told me the Tears were special, and the Overlord's edicts and armies could never touch us. Seems I've been told a hefty sum of lies. So answer this honestly for me, please. Is it true that Tunon's Fatebinders can smell truth from falsehood?
Okay, that's quite a question. I've been honest so far, haven't I? So no, that's not true. Gain average loyalty.
Thanks for that. I could see why you'd want to foster the mystique all the same. The School of Tides would always tell commoners we didn't know how to summon drinkable water. Once they find out, you can't eat in peace. And Kairos' edicts. I have heard the sages speak at length that some of the edicts elsewhere in the world have been broken. How is this?
There's a lore option. It varies based on the wording of the proclamation. If Kairos provides a clause allowing the edict to end, that clause can be satisfied. Overlord has some control of how the edict lingers. I want the lore one.
Ah, so some edicts are forever. The rest are, as long as Kairos has in mind? Needless to say, Kairos' magic is unlike anything we've seen in any Archon. And one more mildly self-indulgent question, but I simply must know. Kairos, male or female?
I haven't had this before, so this is really interesting question actually. I was wondering this myself. So I don't know if Kairos is a male or female. The game doesn't let you know, so not up until this point anyway. So, or even if they're human actually. I honestly do not know for certain.
Really? You don't know either? You work for the Overlord, but you don't know if she, or he, has an innie or an outie?
Okay. Right, so would you feel better or worse to know you lost a man or woman? Why does this matter? I think the Overlord just wants to keep people guessing. Seems to work quite well. No, I don't know, but I have it on good authority. The Imperial Harem is stocked with both. I'll do that one.
You speak true. It ultimately matters not. My apologies. The question now seems rather foolish. You must remember, Kairos was just a horror story from distant lands for much of our lives. We have many unanswered questions. You'll forgive, I hope, the questions. The Overlord and his Archons used to be things of legend. Now they're everyday maladies, and I'm eager to separate the truth from the lies I've been told by House and Guild. In accordance to our most ancient customs, let us depart in honorable accord. May peace find you, Fatebinder.
She bows deeply, pounding her staff on the ground twice before turning to leave. Okay, so we picked up quite a bit of information there and probably gave away quite a bit of information as well. We happen to be on an area, a map that I probably can't revisit actually. So before I exit it, I'm gonna want to do some scouting around. It looks like there's some loot here as well. Okay, there's something in that crevice. Let's pick that up. It looks like various consumables. There is also some loot down here, so let's go and grab that. Looks like there's some deer as well. Not sure if you're going to attack them or not. Let's pick that up. Yet more consumables. And yeah, I can't see any more loot currently, but I'm going to have a look around in stealth mode, see if I can find any hidden objects. Okay, I've actually found something. I was just about to call it quits then, but yeah, there's a little object down here in magenta, is it? Subterfuge just gained
Can't do that.
well, I've gained some levels in it, great. Let's pick up whatever this is. It's not that great, sadly. Lesser healing potion and a garnet, but better than nothing. Right, so I've almost done everything I wanted to do down here. Right, yeah, so I think I am ready to get a move on. There's a pond there. You can make out the faintest outline of a soldier's arm in the bottom of this pond, a victim of a previous battle in the area. Grassland and the tiers stretch far throughout the land. Much of it remains uninhabited and unclaimed by any faction. I think that was the only locations with a magnifying glass. Right, I'm ready to exit. I've been up there before. Okay, so gotta click on one of these, and let's continue our journey back to the ruins to speak with Cosma. 44 minutes and 29 seconds. Pick up the scroll that's there, and then I'll actually add some spells onto my characters. They have some slots spare. Okay, I've arrived back in the ruins camp and I'm having a word with Cosma. This is the reason why I wanted to come back here, to pick up this scroll, which I can now easily afford. There is maybe some things I wouldn't mind buying here, but not really. Some healing potions, I guess, but I've actually got quite a few. I could do with a two-handed weapon actually for Barrack. Actually sold them when maybe I shouldn't have earlier on. But yeah, I'm just going to pick this up. This is the only thing I want, I think, really. Trade. Right, now, since I have that, I can make use out of it. So let's do that. If we come into the inventory, I'll learn that. And that should give me some extra lore. I still don't have enough to do that one though. Okay, Barrack actually gained a heck of a lot there. If I come back, I'll move over to spell creation. I can add quite a few things here. So there's 2 cores to choose from now, 2 expression spell types, and we now have Sigil of Timeless Form, which increases the duration of spell effects. Right, all of a sudden I'm starting to get quite a few options here, and yeah, I'm going to have to put a bit of thought into what I want to give to whom, perhaps. Okay, I've spent some time assigning spells to my companions, and you can see I've added some frost spells basically. I also updated the lightning spells for these guys because they had a bit of lore, and I could add some things here. So I've added the Sigil of Strength to the Charge Fist. I think that came in at 40 lore cost, so that increased the damage. This one, I think reaching Grasp is an extra 10 lore to give it a bit of range. I couldn't afford any more than that. I don't think I've shown you the frozen spells yet, have I? So the Frozen Grasp does frost damage against one target versus their magic, and potentially gives a Frozen Affliction, which reduces crush armor and movement, and animation speed reduce, whatever that means. I'm not entirely sure. Does it mean animation as in graphics animations? And the other one is a Rhyme Spike, which is particularly good. So I like this spell very much. This is versus dodge. It does a healthy amount of damage. Frozen Affliction once again, and it's actually an area of effect spell. I could have given it to Verse. I've only been able to give it to, well, I gave it to my champion of the party, Govanon, but yeah, I could have given it to her. The reason why I haven't is because it uses, in addition to wit skill, it also uses resolve, which Verse isn't great at. She's better at quickness, which actually the shock spells use, so she's probably better off using those. At least at the time being, I could effectively have her use that, and she would of course get better at casting it the more she does it. She'd get more skills, but for now I'm going to keep to those, which yeah, I'm not sure I prefer it as much as Rhyme Spike, to be honest, but yeah. Barrack doesn't actually have all that much lore, so once he gets to level 25 I can upgrade him to other spells, and I want him to probably have Rhyme Spike actually, because he has pretty good resolve and not so good quickness, but that's the only other spell I can afford at the moment because the lore requirements are a bit too high for that currently, and also that one with him, so I'm going to have to wait on that. But that is the current state of spells within the party. I probably need to muck around with the hotkeys as well. If you press delete on these, you can replace them and basically change them with something else should you wish. So if I come back in here and press the number, what was it, number 5? Yeah, it goes back there. Right, I'm ready to get a move on again, I believe.
Right.
Can't speak to her, can I? No, sadly. Right. So, the place where I want to go now is the Scarlet Chorus Camp.